And what is the Muslims' belief and aspect to the entire Easter holidays, what they call it. Many of us may know, many of us may not know. Easter holidays, or the Easter festival, what they call it, behind it there is a belief. And the belief is that Isa alayhi salam, na'udhu billah, was crucified. And after crucifixion, he became alive. And then he was risen to the heavens. So being crucified and becoming alive after crucifixion, that is not part of Islam. That is not the belief of a Muslim. A Muslim's belief in regards to Isa alayhi salam, Allah Ta'ala had made it clearly mentioned in the Quran. And the Quran is of all times, is for all times. That's why Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has specifically highlighted these beliefs of that what actually happened to Isa alayhi salam. What was the beginning of Isa alayhi salam? And how Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will descend Isa alayhi salam again. What happened in those moments at the time when Isa alayhi salam was being chased by a king, and an open announcement was made for his crucifixion. What happened at that time exactly? Allah Ta'ala makes mention in the Quran. That's why last 2 Jum'ahs back I make mention that it is important that we inform ourselves and we educate ourselves directly from the Quran as well. Obviously in the guidance of ulama, etc. But we need to understand what Allah has told us is the real fact. Besides that, everything else is oblivious. It's oblivion. It's just a thought and imagination that maybe this happened, maybe that happened, maybe like this, maybe like that. No. Allah Ta'ala has mentioned it clearly. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَرْيَمْ إِذِ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِنْ دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. The entire 2 pages Allah Ta'ala makes mention of Maryam alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam. Who was Maryam alayhi salam? She was the daughter of Hannah. Hannah radiallahu anha, very pious lady. In the time of Zakariyya alayhi salam, she was either the cousin of Zakariyya alayhi salam. Some ulama mentioned that she was the sister of the wife of Zakariyya alayhi salam. So she made an oath to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that, oh Allah, grant me a child, and if you grant me a child, I will dedicate this child to your service in the house of Allah in Masjid al-Aqsa. I will dedicate this child. Like many of us, we make dua to Allah Ta'ala that, oh Allah, grant us children, grant us healthy and pious children. Oh Allah, I will make him hafiz of the Quran. I will make him alim of deen. I will do this, I will do that. But the moment Allah Ta'ala grants us those children, we forget the dua that we make to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We need to be grateful to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that Allah Ta'ala has given us children. And for those that don't have children, we need to not despair from the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That Allah Ta'ala gives to those whom He wants, Allah Ta'ala gives later. One couple just recently, a few weeks ago in Bolton, after 17 years they got their first child. After 17 years of marriage. This is the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the karam of Allah Ta'ala. So she made an oath that, oh Allah, if you grant me a child, I will dedicate. And in those days, generally you dedicate a male to a service of a masjid. So Allah Ta'ala granted her a child, and she was a female, Maryam alayhi salam. So she made dua to Allah that, oh Allah, I asked you for a child that I could dedicate to your service, but yeah, I've got a female. وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا مَرْيَمْ وَإِنِّي أُعِيدُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That male and female, they cannot do the same service. But here Allah Ta'ala wanted to raise the status of a woman. The status of Maryam alayhi salam, openly announced by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then she made dua that وَإِنِّي أُعِيدُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That, oh Allah, whether she's a male or a female, but I ask you to protect my child from shaitan and her progeny. How many of us we make dua for our children? They say a father or a parent, a mother's dua for the child, it doesn't go unanswered. Allah Ta'ala accepts it readily. So for our children, we should always make good dua. Even if you are angry, make a good dua. In anger also, we should make a good dua for our child. Why? Because that dua will affect the child. فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبُّهَا بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ وَأَنْبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. That Allah Ta'ala accepted this dua readily. And she was given in a service to the service of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And who was looking after her? None other than the Prophet Zakariyya alayhi salam, her own uncle. So in Masjid al-Aqsa, she used to render various services, help her uncle looking after the masjid, etc. And she had her own room, private room. And she was not that very old, 12, 13 years of age. She already started dedicating herself to the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the house of Allah ta'ala. Zakariyya alayhi salam used to enter her room sometimes, and he used to see that there used to be fruits out of season. It's winter but she's eating mangoes. It's summer but she's eating oranges. So every time Zakariyya alayhi salam used to ask her that, oh Maryam, where's all this coming from? So she says it's coming directly from Allah. Directly from Allah. You know, Isa alayhi salam, one of the miracles Isa alayhi salam used to have with his companion, that he used to ask Allah Ta'ala to give him ma'idatan min as-sama. Allah, give me a dining table from the heavens. What we have, candlelight dinners, and we get happy, wow, candlelight dinner. I went to this restaurant and I went to that restaurant. Isa alayhi salam, the restaurant used to be from the heavens. Ulama explained that this was a gift from his mother. Allah Ta'ala used to give his mother the same as well. Fruits from heaven. So this is the time when Zakariyya alayhi salam also realized. Because Zakariyya alayhi salam also did not have children. And he reached an old age. So he realized that if Allah Ta'ala can give fruits without any season, Allah Ta'ala can bear me children as well. So he made dua to Allah. رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً إِنَّكَ سَمِيعُ الدُّعَاءِ. That, oh Allah, grant me a pious offspring. إِنَّكَ سَمِيعُ الدُّعَاءِ. You are the one who answers all prayers, all calls. Nevertheless, the story of Zakariyya alayhi salam is totally different. So this is how Maryam alayhi salam grew up in a nurture under the guidance of a prophet, her own uncle, in the atmosphere of Masjid al-Aqsa, the blessed place. And a time came when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided that now the tables will turn. And now it is time to bring a new prophet to this world. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. That he will be an icon. آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ, we translate it in literal terms today. That he will be an icon for the whole world. Everyone will be looking at him. He'll be my sign. The sign of Allah upon this earth. So Maryam alayhi salam, while she had moved aside from the family members and she was alone, Allah Ta'ala sent Jibreel alayhi salam. Basharan Sawiyya, and Jibreel alayhi salam came in a form of a human being. So obviously, a person that has taqwa in their lives, they have not met a strange person before, and all of a sudden, while she was alone, she sees a strange young man in front of her. So first she reprimanded him and told him that go away from here in kunta taqiyya, if you have some fear of Allah Ta'ala. So Jibreel alayhi salam said, don't worry, I'm not a human being. I've got nothing to do with the desires of human beings. I'm a sent angel from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala is going to grant you a child. So another dilemma broke out to Maryam alayhi salam. But how will I have a child? Lam yamsasni bashar. I'm not married. Walam aku baghiyya. No, I am an unchaste woman. Because the criteria of having a child is two. Either a person is married or a person does zina. So Jibreel alayhi salam said that this is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala has destined this. Allah Ta'ala will give you a child without neither. You don't have to be married. No consummation. But Allah will give you a child. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And don't worry. Allah Ta'ala will make your child one of His signs. وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And He will be a most merciful person. وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. And he said that Jibreel alayhi salam then came close to Maryam alayhi salam, and she held her by her sleeve without touching her skin. Her hand, she held her by her sleeve, and from far away he blew into her sleeve. And this is where the amr of Allah Ta'ala took place, the command of Allah. That instantly there was a 9-month pregnant woman, and there was a 9-month child in her womb. فَحَمَلَتْهُ. Instantly. فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. Now in this trauma, she leaves her house, she leaves her room, she leaves the place, and she goes away to a far away, makanan qasiyya, a far distant land, where no one can see her, because she did not know what to do. And she gives birth to Isa alayhi salam. And this time, she leans against a palm tree. And this palm tree is not even ripe, not even covering over her. It was just a bark of a tree that was cut from the top. And this is the second time Jibreel alayhi salam appears. And this time Jibreel alayhi salam appears in a distance from her. فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا, from a lower land. She was on a higher land. Jibreel alayhi salam was standing in a lower portion of the ground, of the hill. And Jibreel alayhi salam called out to her that do not worry. And he strikes his wing against the earth, and a water of spring starts to gush out, where she can wash herself, she can clean the baby, she can drink from it. And she tells her to shake the branches, shake the bark of the tree, and there was fresh dates for her to eat. And then Jibreel alayhi salam tells her that now you need to go back to your people. Now imagine such a chaste woman, a woman that lived under the guidance of Zakariyya alayhi salam.